Welcome to the Zen Castle. This presentation was created for dissemination to the entire world population through YouTube. Please take serious note of the subject matter. At the Zen Castle, we don't care if you like or subscribe to this channel. We really don't. But we'd like to ask that you send this video to every single person you know, because the survival of the human race, we're talking very serious now, could very well depend on it. I'm issuing a warning within this video's content, so please listen carefully and share appropriately. With respect to those watching from Eastern or Asian cultures, and particularly if English is your second language, I'll do my best to speak clearly, to slow my speech down, because you'll be hearing many college level vocabulary words in this show, so I'll try to slow things down and place each subject in context so that it will be easier for you to understand. According to the World Atomic Clock, you can look that up, some call this the Doomsday Clock, the entire world population and the planet is at 11:59.5 p.m. with the total worldwide devastation occurring at 12 midnight. Some versions of the clock say that we are just 30 seconds from midnight, while others say we are 60 seconds away. Either scenario is extremely frightening for many. In the opinion of many informed Zen Buddhist masters, the world is spiraling toward destruction because of an irreversible law of the universe and the ominous Buddhist law of dark or bad karma. In essence, so much dark karma has been multiplied through millions of minds filled with hate and violence in the world today, and unless messages like this are sent out in force and actually listened to, even before the November election, let's say, we could face catastrophic destruction and the potential annihilation of our planet by the end of 2025. Now, that may sound outrageous and harsh at first, but it's a well-known concern among world leadership, so please listen on for details. As of the date of this recording, our planet is already beginning to experience the signs of World War III, with current wars in or near Africa, Russia, the Ukraine, Lebanon, Israel, Yemen, and Iran, and with a very real threat of Chinese invasions into both Taiwan and northern Philippines, and at the same time, very real threats of Russian invasions into, of course, the Ukraine, Belarus, and Moldova. Incidentally, it's been said that Buddhism is nihilistic, but many times more realistic than Christianity. As a Zen Buddhist master teacher, however, I find absolutely no nihilism, warmongering, or anarchism within the Japanese Mahayana version of Buddhism, namely Zen Buddhism, which is also called the Chan School Buddhism in China, Son Buddhism in Korea, and in Vietnam it is referred to as Thien, or some pronounce Tien. If you know anything about the Eightfold Path to Nirvana, you'll quickly realize that the original teachings of the Buddha himself focused on love for all living beings, acting and speaking with kindness and respect, and also a deep care for our fellow man. So how can that even be remotely nihilistic? Therefore, to lay the Zen foundation for what is meant by ominous, dark karma, I'd like to start off by saying that whenever you hear the expression dark karma, it's synonymous for bad karma or black karma. Now, the basic Sanskrit word karma literally means action, acting, or accomplishment. Accomplishing even. This is important to remember moving forward. Again, a karma is not a bad or good result on something you did or did not do. Rather, karma is the action or acting in either positive or negative ways, which leads to results, which could be bad, dire, or maybe good. By karma, the first Buddha, namely Siddhartha Gautama, who lived near Nepal about 500 BC, he clearly meant an intentional action, not as most believe, which is the results of an action. To further clarify, a karma is neither a blessing nor a curse. It is more of an intentional volition, action completed, or a choice made. To put this in somewhat correct English, let's put it in a sentence, for example. One could say that we are constantly creating or doing karmas in our life, and it's based on our free choice or volition if those karmas, meaning those acts or accomplishments, are positive, good, or negative, bad, dark karma. So, as another example, if a corrupt person goes to rob the bank, he completes the action of dark or bad karma for himself. Because that action was motivated by greed and aggression, and the return action or the major response by the supremely intelligent universe based on that dark karma is usually the delivery of a returned negative result upon the creator of that dark karma, such as how a boomerang might spin around, return, and deliver a tragedy back to someone hurting others. A key point is that our motivations and intentions belong solely to us, and the result of those intentions are what defines our ultimate karma based on the acts or actions that materialize in this world and the next and can have either glorious or tragic end results. Even the Buddha said that through intention, one does karma by way of the physical body, mental thought, or spoken word. I appreciate the way this was said by Buddha Siddhartha. Again, he said, one does, creates, or commits karma through the physical action, the mental movement, or the spoken karmic words. Remember that one of the key elements of karma is not only about what we do, please keep that in mind, but also about what we say and what we think also. The final element of karma, which is the good or bad results, is what folks usually mistaken as the law of karma. Okay, but it's not that, of course, and I'll continue to explain. Again, the results, such as an injury or a loss, is not the karma. It's the actions one carries out in life that lead to those blessings or cursings. For example, the actions carried out that you can find for example, within the second noble truth that are based on deep thirsts, wishes, or wants. Someone just said, what about this law of karma? Who is it that enforces the law? Is there a divine overseer of karmic implications? I thought the Buddhists teach that there is no God. For example, quite opposite of the one that's worshipped by Jews or Christians. So, who is the karma judge, they might ask? May I reply by saying, this question is similar to the one regarding how a practicing Zen Buddhist enters the enlightenment of nirvana. In particular, who makes these decisions regarding who becomes enlightened or enters nirvana, particularly if Buddhists teach there is no formal God, which we do teach. I'd like to be so bold as to say the answer is that these are natural laws of the great universe, which includes universal, supreme intelligence, all entangled within an all-seeing energy field. You may want to research the universal law of entangled energy or quantum entanglement. And this universal law is indisputable, such as the law of cause and effect. This means, in the grand scheme of things, the universal laws of cause and effect are who or what enforce karma as it relates to good or evil and appropriate outcomes. Those laws, however, encompass the realization that there must exist an intelligent decision maker, which is a very logical concept for most, but frightening for a Christian that cannot assign supreme intellect to anyone other than the God of the Bible. Maybe the Holy Spirit, which they always speak of, is one and the same as the supreme intelligent universe and its entangled energy fields, which deliver justice for the karmas we do. Said in a slightly different way, the confusion for many is they cannot wrap their head around the fact that the universe does not necessarily need to be the same as a formal or biblical God, but the universe indeed is ultimate intelligence and therefore delivers appropriate judgment to us based on our actions or karmas. Some may say that it's not the universe delivering justice, but rather the laws of the natural world, such as the laws of gravity or an immutable law of entropy. I say that however you want to reconfigure the terminology or call the universe by other terms, the meaning is virtually the same. In summation, the result is that when looking at karma, it's evident that you receive in life what you give in life, and that is simply the truth of universal reality. As you already know, the doctrine of karma is also called the law of sowing and reaping in Christianity. For example, you sow or plant bad seeds, and you reap or harvest toxic crops. Of course, karma is the same as the law of cause and effect in the secular community as well. An example of cause and effect is this. You deliberately drive your car into a brick wall after drinking 8 glasses of wine. We could say the drunk driving is the cause. And the effect is that you experience a devastating car accident, maybe even death. To redefine karma in simple terms, we might say that in this life, our actions aka karmas, determine our outcomes. You receive almost the same as what you give others personally or others in the community. So, listen carefully. If you give hate and unkind words to others, or even hate toward an institution or politician, then the karmic laws say that your hate and unkindness will recoil back like a ricochet onto your own head while it spreads to others. Karma takes cause and effect a step further, however, because it implies that not only will you suffer from bad words, intentions, or actions in this life, but they will be carried forward into the next. On the opposite side of that coin, however, your loving, kind, and generous actions, which are the key tenets within Buddhism, will also be rediscovered as part of your being today and in the next life. Said slightly different, I'm teaching that those loving and generous actions or karmas can and will be returned to you in the form of receiving good results, such as a love relationship breakthrough, or maybe even a material gift that mystically shows up at your home. So the question might be in your mind, where is the breaking point when the universe will actually deliver justice in the form of something bad happening to me because of my actions or karmas, which I knew were either bad or very wrong? Where is the good versus dark karma cutoff point? Where is the point that justice occurs? Well, it's a good question. To completely answer that question, it's borderline saying that I have the supreme intelligence of the universe. However, it is true what the old school expression teaches. I think it was actually Jiminy Crickets in a Disney movie. Let your conscience be your guide. And this might answer the breaking point question. Think of it this way. If there is even the slightest feeling of guilt about saying something or doing something, then you have reached the breaking point where good karma turns to dark karma, along with all the possible negative outcomes. Please allow me to help you if you're a Zen Buddhist student, or at least want to become one. A key universal belief that we have as it relates to your interaction with others is this: we must always weigh our thoughts, but especially our actions or karmas. Therefore, an important question to ask yourself is, did your thought or deliberate action deliver affliction to another person or yourself? If so, you're entering a very crucial level of receiving possible dark results for your deliberately dark action. But if you ask yourself this affliction question, and neither yourself nor another person is harmed in any way, neither harmed financially by your actions or thoughts, then there is nothing to worry about. And one may indeed expect the universe to deliver good things, even spiritual benefits, good or bright karma, and maybe also a piece of mental euphoria as a result of the positive karmas you deliver out there. Another point I'd like to share is that you should never spend your precious energy in trying to assert control over the lives or livelihoods of others. Are you listening? Likewise, do not ask others to perform actions or karmas that would impact their personal karma or the result of their action. Okay, because if that impact is negative, then you've created dark karma for yourself and possibly the other person as well. The key advice of a Zen master would be to keep your gosh darn karmas or strong suggestions, maybe even strict advice, keep it to yourself and step away from the lives of others, particularly when there can be a direct impact on the happiness or the life of another person. In essence, do not meddle in the karmas or actions of what the universe is trying to accomplish in the life of another person, regardless of if they are family or even a close friend. Maybe they are possibly just a workplace acquaintance. Regardless, do not meddle in the karmas or actions of what the universe is trying to accomplish in their life. And that means to stop trying to fix and intervene, because a wrong suggestion could jeopardize their karma, but worst, it can deliver cruel justice to you, which might be doled out by the supreme universe. That means to just let karma run its course in and around the other people in your life. And if you give anyone advice, my friend, you better make certain that advice is positive and will lead the other person to performing good karmas in the future instead of the other way around. Some people foolishly and continually intervene by manipulating the karma of others, by trying to change the personal direction, or let's say the mental direction of another person. Again, universal justice will prevail in almost every single case. And these people, if that's you, the karma manipulators, let's say, will not only fail, but they also disrupt their own destiny in a dark way. You see, the Buddha is telling us not to meddle in the affairs of others. But karma, or the law of karma, is telling us that our actions or strong suggestions toward an innocent person will come back to haunt us, especially if you delivered the advice with selfish motives or even haphazard advice that somehow harms the other person. One key point is that you have to understand everyone has their own journey with either black or white forms of karma, and that by interfering in others' lives, you can potentially generate very dark outcomes for both yourself and the other person. As an example, if you like teaching, coaching, or giving advice to others, such as in the case of being a manager, it's all right to give work-related or sports-related advice for the improvement of that athlete or employee. But when you start suggesting they say or do something that you know is improper, then that is where you can end up with a little black snowball, let's say, of karma at the top of the mountain, which then begins rolling down the mountain only to become a giant raging avalanche of destruction. Take a step back for a moment and look at all the political hatred out there and how it's starting to lead to ongoing assassination attempts. Even if we were talking about your family, my Zen Buddhist advice is to always hold your tongue unless you're absolutely certain there will be no negative implications to your suggestions, commands, or advice. Someone just said, so if I catch my child smoking, am I supposed to look the other way and let the universe do the instructing and correcting? Not necessarily. My advice is that if you have been a good parent or caretaker and brought this young person up with good morals and ethics in a good, wholesome home, okay, and you're very aware that they were brought up with these good standards, these high standards, then allow that youth, that person's conscience, to be their guide. They, let's say a teenager, we're not talking about a little kid now, let's say a teenager, they will certainly know, as long as they are past the age of knowing right from wrong, and anyone can come up with an arbitrary number, such as the age of 13, as long as you're past that age of knowledge, right versus wrong, they will know that, in this example, smoking is bad and harmful to their health. You see, there are implications for both the smoker and the strict parent yelling and correcting improper behavior. Think of it this way. Your son gets so mad and offended at your overbearing discipline that they end up running away from home, or even worse, taking your car for a joyride into the side of someone's home. Now, of course, this is a worst case scenario, and I'm here to make the point about treading very lightly when it comes to manipulating the karmic actions of others, even if those actions appear to be wrong at first glance. The point of the discussion is not to let your kids party, smoke, or get drugged out. Of course, those are very wrong karmas. But know that in the end, whether it's your son, a senator, or a subordinate at work, most people will still follow their own thinking and decision path in life, regardless of your mouth. That means they will make decisions for themselves instead of your controlling little mind making the decisions for them. Don't interfere with that process. This is a warning now, or there could be very hefty prices that you'll have to pay. For example, someone strictly disciplining a teenager that's been caught smoking or drinking, especially when the youth realizes they were caught doing something very wrong, committing a bad action, and let's even go so far as to say they became very embarrassed by being caught. This could lead them to getting mad or rebellious, and it has in countless cases in the past, and then doubling their intake of drugs or drinks. So, if you must correct a youth, your own child or someone else's, that is heading in the wrong direction, you better make dead sure that you do it with patience and love. Remember that karma, the law of karma, impacts your physical body, your thoughts, others, and even your own emotions. Almost more importantly, however, karma impacts those external relationships that we have. So you play an important role in what the universe is trying to accomplish in both you and your acquaintances. choose your actions, your karmas, with the utmost care. Because if you think this is all spiritual jargon and it doesn't apply to you, then prepare for a rude awakening. Think of the World War III scenario we are currently in the midst of. Now, here's where it starts getting interesting. In order to have a better grasp on karma and all of its implications, you must understand that karma or karmas are, one, the acts or actions you perform, and two, those actions could very well be intertwined with the second noble truth, which the Buddha called thirsting or craving for something. That deep wanting or desiring is the cause of much bad karma in the world today. Namely, the first noble truth is what happens as a result of the second noble truth, namely dukkha, or suffering. We therefore can have a very good idea of any bad karma occurring in our life, particularly when we look at how deeply we fail to abide by the second noble truth, which again can be called having wants, desires, or thirsts. Where the bad karma is eliminated, where that bad karma is eliminated, however, is when you enter the third noble truth, namely nirvana, or at least a diligent effort to attain nirvana. This does not mean that negative things won't happen to you and that there can possibly be a resurgence of black or dark karma in your life. But as long as you are living by means of the fourth noble truth, namely staying on the 8 pathways to nirvana, then you can pretty much bank on a drastic reduction of any bad karma occurring in your vicinity or to you on a personal level. The problem with the atomic or doomsday clock is that very few people globally, particularly powerful world leaders, very few, almost none, are willing to relinquish or discard their greedy wants, desires, and thirsts, for gathering more and more power, land, wealth, control, or whatever. Additionally, our karma determines the nature of our rebirth, if you are so inclined to believe in having a future life within the universe. Remember, however, we're not necessarily talking about reincarnation here, by the way, and that as Zen Buddhists, we do not believe in an afterlife that is similar to what the Christians teach, such as how they say you have an eternal soul that communes with heavenly beings, the Lord, for example, in the 5th or 6th dimension called heaven, floating around and worshiping Father God for all of eternity. Almost a false teaching that you retain the same essence or soul that you did on earth from original birth. True Buddhists do not believe in the concept of an eternal soul that ends up in a mystical form of heaven. You may want to learn about the essential teaching of no self to understand this better, which is a video that you can find in my gallery here. Buddhists teach and instruct their students that they don't retain their personal identity in any afterlife experience, but instead receive a brand new identity, which will have no recollection of the previous life on earth. Some say, however, that if you truly become fully enlightened, then you are given a gift to see previous lives, like the Buddha did, while you are within your long-awaited state of nirvana. So to reiterate for the third time, do not perform or do actions of negative karma in this life, because they can and will result in rather ominous cycles of birth and rebirth, which the Buddha calls the cycles of samsara. It's important to understand, however, that karma is not about punishment or reward, okay? Those are the results, again, of your actions. But rather, think of karma, or cause and effect, as a neutral force that simply reflects our own energy back to us. Bad action or energies deliver the ominous results that no one wants. Always remember that even if you think no one sees what you're doing, the invisible eye of karma and the karmic universe will always see and reflect back to you what you have initially launched out. Consider that the Buddha taught that the way to free ourselves from the negative karmic patterns is through the practice of the Eightfold Path, or the Fourth Noble Truth. Okay, and I'll put up a slide again now, which includes right view, right intention, right speech, right action, and of course, the highly essential pathways of right mindfulness and right concentration. So here is the very good and positive news. Let's say bright karma based on staying on the Eightfold Path to Nirvana. Your good, positive actions will continue to snowball into powerful, positive energies. The beauty of performing the right karmas is that it empowers us to take control of our lives by becoming mindful of our actions and their consequences. We can therefore consciously choose to create a more positive reality for ourselves and those around us by staying focused on the paths of right concentration and right mindfulness. This will also keep us on a positive trajectory when it comes to the cycle of samsara. I'd like for you to be an intellectual briefly, and I suggest for you to mentally combine your actions or karmas with the possibility that karma has its own mind, almost like the long arm of universal law. Now, if your actions or karmas are connected to the arm of the universe when it comes to karmic law, then it's easy to understand that this very real and practical law of karma is a living, breathing force, almost like a spiritual entity, and it shapes our lives, either good or bad, and our destiny, either enlightened or dark oblivion. This means I suggest you have a hyper focus on your every action, your every karma, even the little brief conversations you have, because no matter how small that action, it has the power to create time ripples of positive or negative energy implications in both your present life and your destiny. When citizens, the community, and world leaders do not have a tight focus on their every action, then this is when there is great potential for world chaos. To explain, there is a total perfection when it comes to how the universe works. Okay? As an example, think of the universal law of reciprocity, and you can look that up or watch my video called Mastering All metaphysical laws. But within this key law, however, when we experience kindness from others, for example, we are very likely to pay it forward and spread the positivity and good karma to others. This in turn causes a karmic chain reaction of positive results or blessings toward everyone within the circle of sending out good actions or karmas to others. But listen, on the dark and opposite side of that notion, when we look at the hatred, war, and violence in the world today, when we experience rudeness, criticism, or hatred from others, we are more likely than not to pay others in the future with similar treatment, irregardless of if they had ever wronged us before, thereby creating a potential ripple effect and possible bad chain of ongoing dark karma, all because of one or two stupid decisions we made. To reiterate, when we are faced with rude adversity, impolite words, or hateful actions, we can choose to react with anger and aggression and add to the bad chain of black karma that might cause a worldwide catastrophe, or we can choose to respond with compassion and forgiveness, which is what the Buddha did, with a mind of mercy, and maybe even realizing this person is having a real bad day and just taking it out on the world. Now, I've already mentioned the fact that justice can be issued by the universe for the karmas or actions we perform in this life, and I've even suggested that karma mystically communicates with an all-seeing eye of universal law, but I'd like to clarify that karma itself has no mind or ability to issue any blessing or penalty, okay? Karma, or action itself, is simply that. It's an action or an energy. Think of the energy it takes to lift a heavy box. It's energy. To clarify, maybe you can consider the law of karma as a conduit or a pipe of energy. Bear with me for a moment. Almost like a spiritual electrical current. The energy input into this karma conduit must equal the energy output. This is a universal law, by the way. Okay? The energy that you input into karma must equal the energy output as an equal and direct correlation to the input. So, the energy input is redirected to an equal energy output. All during this time of directing or redirecting karmic energy, keep in mind that karma itself does not judge or criticize. It has no moral bias or compass, but simply follows the natural laws of the universe, such as the law of cause and effect. It simply responds in a cause and effect manner to the energy we send into the world, okay? Whether that energy is positive or negative. If you're finding yourself most of the time in situations and predicaments that are negative or dark, then obviously it might be time to take a mindful look at your own life and personal actions, and again, ask yourself if those actions, those karmas, cause affliction to others, the community at large, or yourself. The problem in the world today is that tens of millions of people are causing widespread affliction with their words and actions. I'd like to therefore suggest that there is a neutral quality of karma with a caveat. And it's important to comprehend this explicitly, because if you can get a great understanding of the neutrality of karma, then you will quickly see that you are directly responsible for your own circumstances, situations, and outcomes. And therefore, you simply cannot blame God, the universe, or others for the ominous clouds above your head, because the truth is that you personally conjured them up. This means that even if we don't see the immediate consequences of our karmas or actions, the hateful seeds we plant with words, thoughts, or accomplishing things will eventually begin hurting and afflicting the community, the other citizens of the world, and they soon become a full-grown tree of violence, or a killer avalanche I just described, eventually destroying everything in its path. The Buddha taught, however, that the key to avoiding all of this is to plant and cultivate wholesome seeds and qualities such as generosity, compassion, kindness, and positive energy, and that by aligning our actions with these wholesome or holy qualities, we plant and send forth positive spiritual energy through that conduit I just described into the collective consciousness of the entire universe. This, my friend, is the only way to save the world and reverse the doomsday clock that points to Earth imploding at any moment. So again, it's the positivity, it's the bright karma, not a worldwide spread of hate and negativity that will bear the fruit of change and salvation for mankind. Once more, positivity, forgiveness, and love is the only way out of this current ominous environment that we're currently in. Now I've given you all the bad news that you need to hear for now. So the good news is that every moment presents a new opportunity to do your part to save us from catastrophe. Please be so kind as to be a world leader of your own making, and be mindful to plant a positive seed of loving kindness today and every day in the lives of others, and steer your karma and that karma of others in a safer and more peaceful direction. No matter how hard you try to escape the truth of our interconnectivity in mankind, it is an immutable universal law. You, through the collective entangled energy and consciousness of the universe, you personally are intertwined with all living matter, especially humans. So take great responsibility in any action you perform, every karma you create. That means that we all must understand our actions or karmas impact not only us, but our neighbors, and they even connect to the field of universal dark energy, which can be downloaded by anyone, anywhere. And by taking this great responsibility for your personal actions, we not only create a brighter future for ourselves, but also contribute to the healing and awakening of the global population. The good news again is that if we personally have free will regarding the decisions for the actions we perform in this life, and in every moment we have the ability to choose karmas that shape our destiny by aligning our choices with the highest qualities of spiritual greatness, such as compassion, wisdom, and love. Because of the law of quantum entanglement, this means those same karmas you choose will connect to the energy field and be spread throughout the world. Okay? I bet you never thought you could personally save the world from destruction, but the beauty of Buddhism teaches you can do just that with your generous or loving and positive thoughts and actions. Here's the key, however. You must get onto the Eightfold Path to nirvana or to enlightenment and cling to it for life, okay? Stick to it like glue, regardless of any storm you are going through. 4 of the most essential paths you must master, especially when it comes to this world situation, this World War III doomsday clock we're looking at. 4 of the most essential paths are the paths of right speech, right action, right view, and right mindfulness. Said in a different way, to become enlightened in a Zen Buddhist sense, one must continually practice the Buddhist Eightfold Pathway with complete devotion. Although it is possible, the fact is that because of disbelief, criticism, and laziness, few people, if any, have the endurance to stay focused on this. This is one of the key reasons why we find ourselves 30 seconds from midnight on the doomsday clock. It's because no one believes the power of simply thinking, saying, and doing the purest and cleanest actions and forms of living, especially when it comes to generating bright or good karma. As I mentioned in one of my previous videos on nirvana and enlightenment, I advise the Zen Buddhist student to spend a minimum of 6 hours a day in mindfulness and meditation. Sadly, other than myself and 2 other people I know, I've never found anyone else willing to endure this type of dedication toward achieving nirvana and truly helping humanity. When you are willing to bear the burden, however, the elusive and somewhat unattainable nirvana can indeed become a reality for you, just as it did for the original Buddha Siddhartha. And at the same time, you'll be doing your part to save a world on the brink of something very big and very bad. So, if you can miraculously achieve this state of being, then obviously it's an end of ignorance and bad karma and the beginning of enlightenment and good karma. You will realize the end of desiring or wanting, and also an end of caring about personal identities or criticisms you have placed on yourself or others. You simply are mindful and content in a current state of Zen peace because you understand the doctrine of karma and the necessity of becoming awakened. When you live by this ancient Zen Buddhist philosophy, you will undoubtedly generate positive good karma. Then a radiant grace will start to surround you, meaning an aura of positive energy will appear around you, creating a luminous being who has become a temple of absolute love, forgiveness, and happiness. You will have become nirvana'd. In essence, you have personally designed your karmas and your spiritual destiny. My hope for you is that you become one of the rare few global citizens that figured out the path to nirvana, someone that became like the wise ancient Buddha, the awakened one, the enlightened one.